It is time for episode 11 of One on One with this guy, Jeff Dantzler, in the hot seat now. One of my favorite Bulldogs. So proud of this young man. Definitely one of the best ever wear the cleats for the red and black. Cairo's on. Emerson Hancock. Emerson, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Mr. Jeff. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's my honor, Emerson, and this has been such a crazy time. I know for me, I'm an old man. I'm 47, and for you being at age 20, everything that's happened here these last few months, it's been extremely tough for everybody. How have you dealt with it, and what's been the key for you? What's been of utmost importance for you, continuing to look forward and stay positive through these times?
Yeah, I just had to find a different routine and kind of find, what was best for me each day. Being in the schedule that we have, it was very hard to have any free time. And now you've opened up, well, that's all you have. And once I got back home, it was, I got to find what days do I need to work out, what days do I need to throw. And it's been nice. I mean, I know that, your thoughts are with everyone during this time and you hope everyone's safe, but I've definitely enjoyed this time with my family.
And Emerson, I think what made this especially difficult, in every school, every team's gone through it, but I've told everybody, and you were certainly at the top of the list, but with you and Cole Wilcox, Cam Shepard, Patrick Sullivan, I could go on, Mason Meadows, Tucker Bradley. You guys are so tight-knit, and this was just such a terrific group of young men. You guys have been through so much. The previous 2 years were great, off to a terrific start this season. And I know we should be, as we talk now, we should be getting ready to win a super regional and head to the College World Series. And I know it's been difficult for all you guys. And more than anything, just that journey. And I sure miss seeing you guys. And I know you miss seeing all your friends and teammates and coaches.
Yeah, for sure. We miss the times. We miss being at Foley, and we miss your calls. We miss those highlight videos with you, the voiceover in the background. I mean, I know those guys are always love to see those videos, and we definitely miss you a lot. But, like you said, we're in the position because of all the people you've mentioned and the great close-knit group that we had. It was just such good leaders, such good just mentorship and a lot of experience. And we were ready to go. We were ready to finally break through. And I just knew in our heart, like, this was our year. This was the time that we were going to do it. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But we've loved every minute of playing. It was good.
Emerson, so many for you. And you came in with tremendous expectations and lived up to and exceeded those expectations. Before I ask you about some of your favorite memories, I know for you, you've got great faith. You've got a great family that's been behind you the entire time. How important has that rock-solid foundation been for you to get you through? And you've had mostly ups, but every now and then we all have some down times. How important has that been for you?
Extremely important. My foundation is definitely on my faith and my family. And, when things go bad, it's nice to turn to those two things, to have such strong power and belief in those people around you. And yeah, like you said, it's a lot of success, but there's also been a lot of failure when you play this game, and to have that to lean back on, it definitely helps you along the way.
And Emerson, another thing you've always had in your blood is that love for the Georgia Bulldogs, and something I talked about a lot. The fact that your dad went to Cairo High School with Bill Stanfield and your mother went to Cairo High School with Teresa Edwards, two of the great Georgia legends of all time. It's literally been in your blood. And I can tell you, we've had a lot of great Bulldogs from Cairo. You've joined that list.
Yeah, it's a lot of history and tradition. And, growing up, you hear about it. When I was going to Cairo High School, you go to the gym and it says Teresa Edwards. It's got it all over the place. And at that moment, you don't really realize what she accomplished until you go to Georgia and you see it, and you kind of see how much people appreciate what she did. And then, like you said, Dad was close friends with Bill Stanfield, and Mom, was classmates, I believe, with Teresa Edwards. So it's always a Georgia thing for me, a Georgia connection. It's got that family kind of sense for it, and man, I'm certainly blessed to be able to represent this place.
Emerson, one of the things that we've talked about a lot that has made you such a great success is that you, quote unquote, knew how to pitch before you got the thunderbolt for the right arm there. So kind of take us through that, but because when you first came up, and Coach Strickland and I talked about this a lot, when you were early in your high school career, you didn't have that just flame throwing fastball there, so you knew how to use the other pitches. And then when you got the number one that could get to the mid 90s to the high 90s, that just took you to a different level. So I guess there's a great lesson in that for everybody. You learn to use the tools that you have.
You're right. I always loved to pitch. I always loved to mix pitches up and get guys out in different ways. And in high school, I was really undersized. I struggled to put on weight. I couldn't really hold my velocity deep in the start. And as soon as I got into Georgia, I got introduced to Mr. Ryan Gearhart, and that certainly changed things for me, to put on weight, to get stronger. And then, when you get to work with Coach Kenny every single day, I mean, it's just a lot of good things can happen. And so that was for me. I always had that sense of pitching, of getting guys out, but I never had the velocity. So that freshman year, what you saw was just kind of experiencing things I've never experienced before. Is having a fastball that can get swings and misses, can be hard to hit. And then I just kind of played off of that, my sophomore and definitely this year.
Emerson, you mentioned Sean Kenny, our pitching coach, who's just tremendous. There's an art and a science to pitching. How important is that big-time pitching coach for an ace like yourself?
He's awesome. He's been certainly a blessing to me, and I know on the field, but I like Coach Kenny a lot for what he is off the field. He's a guy that you can go hang out with, that you can go talk to. Very relatable, really personal to all the guys on the team, and he's just been awesome. He knows how to turn that switch off from baseball and to just get to know you as a person, and a lot of players really appreciate that.
Emerson, for you, I know you played a lot of sports growing up. What led you to making baseball your primary sport?
I always knew it as a kid. I wanted to play baseball. I was always a hitter. I played shortstop. I loved it. But I got taller. I got a little less athletic. The arm got a little bit better. I just maybe pitching's my route for me. I can't hit as well. And about after my freshman and sophomore year of high school, that's when I kind of knew that, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a pitcher.
And Emerson, the Major League Baseball draft is just around the corner. And full disclosure here, when I asked Emerson to do this with me, he said, I don't want to talk about the draft. I want to talk about my teammates. And to me, that says so much about you. And going back to your family and your faith, you're really cut from the cloth of the great Herschel Walker. I'm always amazed at how humble you've been, even after your best of performances there. Is that just something that's in your nature?
I've always been taught, especially by my parents, let others do the talking. They just said, go about your work, do everything that you can do, work as hard as possible, and good things will happen. And you don't ever have to brag about what you've done. So just kind of use your energy and focus it on around the people around you. And when you got the people and the players at Georgia that we have, that's really easy to do, because you see how hard people work and you want nothing but success for them. And that's just kind of the chemistry that everyone had. It wasn't just me. We all genuinely want each other to succeed and willing to help each other out.
And Emerson, talking about wanting each other to succeed in your career here, we've had this vast array of outstanding pitchers. I know I'm going to leave some guys out, but I'm thinking about Tony Losi and Zach Christophack and Aaron Shuck and, of course, Cole Wilcox and Ryan Webb. Just so many terrific pitchers. If for anybody I left out, I apologize. I love you all. But I think that hits home, too, the way you guys not only cheered for each other, but you seem to continuously raise the bar for one another.
It's almost like an inner competition. It really is. We all know we're really talented. We all want each other to succeed, but it was one of those deals where, I got to make sure that I'm holding up my end of the deal this weekend. I got to make sure that I go out and take care of my job, and maybe if that can help push someone else. That's just kind of what we fed off of. And then once you're as close as we were, we could always just say, hey, what can I do maybe differently on this hitter? What did you have success with? So I think that's why we worked really well.
Emerson, for everything that Zach Christopher went through, and he's a year older than you, but when you got to know him and become friends with him, and I would think all of his teammates and all of his friends, what does his story mean to you, and how inspirational is that?
It's unbelievable. And I remember when we were at the Dog Source Award, when Zach was awarded the Inspiration Award, and they played the video and everything that he has gone through, to just have someone like that who's older, to someone who is so mature, who's handled that much in life, you kind of realize, and you kind of look at him like, all right, this guy's awesome. You know, he's been through a lot. The attitude that he has, and how hard that he works, and how good he treats us. You know, he doesn't have to treat the younger guys good. I mean, that's kind of like the seniority thing sometimes in sports that you have, but he did. He treated all the people well, and people pick on him for his size, but man, he was a bulldog out there. You know, my dad calls him Bulldog, and he jokes with me all the time. You know, he was a competitor. He loved to win, and that's just kind of how people view Zach.
Emerson, yeah, part of the great thing about sports, I think, especially for baseball, because it's obviously it's the longest season when you get to the pros, when you get to the majors, and in college playing 56 games. It's a long season. So a lot of the fun and all the great Georgia teams I've been so blessed and fortunate to be around have that great chemistry. And you guys certainly had that and enjoying that journey. And I think a lot of the most memorable moments for you guys, yeah, they're the great moments on the field, but it comes on those bus rides. You know, what you guys do during batting practice, in the clubhouse, whatever it may be. You get playing video games in the hotel, whatever it may be. What are some of your more enjoyable moments and some of the things that you're really going to miss from your teammates and your friends here in Athens?
I think it's just kind of the daily interactions you have with everybody. You know, we really do everything together. We eat together, we practice, we work out, we're on the bus together. You know, the hotels are together. It's just the small things like that you're going to miss. You know, the games are great. That's where you make a lot of memories. But to be close with each other like we were off the field, to always want to hang out with each other, that's just something that you're definitely going to miss.
Now, Emerson, I've asked a lot of coaches about this, and I think you're right on with this as well. When bad things happen, definitely some positives can come out of this. And I'm sure I was as big a culprit as anybody of taking things for granted. And man, oh man, I've said what I wouldn't give to go call a 20-inning baseball game again right now, as long as that night was. And I do think one of the things when we get back on track with everything is that we're going to savor not just the opportunities, but every little thing as well. Would you agree with that?
100%. I think we play a game to where, you know, the little things matter the most. And it just comes back to what you said. You know, no one could have predicted this was going to happen. And, you know, like you said, I would love to go be in the dugout for a 20-inning game right now and to wear all the stuff that we did. But, yeah, I think you're right.
That 20-inning game, by the way, and I've been asked about it a lot. I think probably the neatest thing, because we were all, I mean, you guys had on backwards hats, you're playing air guitar with the bats in there. But when a lot of the students started coming in from the taverns downtown a little after midnight, around the 16th inning or so, it kind of gave us that second burst of energy. That's one of the things I'll remember most about that night against Clemson.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, the crowd had almost died out, and next thing you knew, we had a bunch of people gathering behind home plate. I mean, they were chanting, they were loud, and at the time of the game, it was just quiet. And so now we had that energy, and I think a lot of the guys will say those people really pushed us through and really got us that jolt what we needed.
You know, one of the things about baseball, and I'm going to ask you about some of your best performances, but how you were always so even keel. I think one of the best games you ever pitched for Georgia, we lost at Tennessee last season 2-0. Emerson threw a complete game 3 hitter. They scored 2 runs on a 2-out little infield hit. We out hit them, I think, 9-3. It was just one of those nights. And in baseball, just with the nature of the game, I guess as a pitcher, Emerson, that would be frustrating for a lot of guys. But that's just one of those where you got to say, hey, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, it's a one pitch game, one pitch league, and it was just such a back and forth game, a back and forth weekend. And you know, I remember the play. It was a jam shot between kind of LJ and Pat, and for me, maybe I could have got over there a little bit quicker, but it was just that crazy. Just one pitch like that could change the inning.
And that's one of those where it's just baseball. Now, I do want to talk about one of your last performances at Georgia against Santa Clara, and that's just one of those deals that they get a leadoff double, and then boy, Mason Meadows throws out the guy at third, and next thing you know, you throw a no-hitter for the rest of the game.
It flipped the switch for me. For the rest of the season, it really did. You know, it was just tough coming off that start from Richmond. I wanted to bounce back, you know, get the leadoff double, the infield single, and I told Mason that was the play of the game. That is what we needed. That was the spark that I needed personally. And, you know, we get the next two guys to strike out, and after that, I was like, all right, thank you, Mason. Let's get to work now.
So, Emerson, that's just a couple that we've mentioned there. Undoubtedly one of the great pitchers in Georgia history. Your love for the Bulldogs and going up against all the big rivals. You got to finally pitch against Tech this year and beat them, which was great. And obviously Florida and Auburn, you name it there. What are two or three other moments for you on the mound or maybe off the field that stand out for you?
I always think about, you know, Keegan throwing the guy out against Arkansas. Just that call that weekend, you know, it was one of the things where if we win the series, you know, we're a national seed, we're moving forward, and Ryan comes in the pitch, they hit the flare shot, and Keegan throws them out, and obviously we know your call on it is just – it was unbelievable. To walk it off like that is something that I'll never forget. Another one for me was definitely last year on senior day against Alabama. I got the chance to get it pushed back. I got a Saturday start, so I believe we went Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And to just be able to pitch and win that game for that seniors, you know, I can't name it, I'll leave someone out, but just what they've done for us, you know, where they've been in the program to where it is now, that's something that just always mean a lot to me.
Thank you, by the way, for the kind words. And by the way, I was getting married in 2 months, and we had a huge wedding party that night. And I said, knowing baseball, I go, this thing's going like 18 innings. You can just go ahead and book it, and my wife's going to be yelling at me. And so Keegan, you talk about getting the big one. He saved the day in many ways, my friends.
Yeah, he just didn't know it.
So Emerson, for you with the draft coming up, I'm sure that there's a lot of stress and all that goes with that. How are you trying to stay loose?
I love to play golf. I really that's kind of like my outlet, and I really got into it last summer. I'd always played it coming up as a kid, but never really got the itch for it. Kind of get hooked on it like I did last summer, and that's just kind of my outlet. I go out there, I'll play until it's dark, come back in, and I don't know, that's just something that I really enjoy.
Well, Emerson, we are so proud of you. I know how busy you are, and I appreciate you taking some time here for the old man. We always joke about it. Christopher Lakos, David Johnson, and myself, that many, many years ago, we'd go on the road. I had girls ask me what position I played. 2 years ago, we're down in Florida. They asked us if we're the umpires.
Well, how far y'all come, right?
That's exactly right. Well, Emerson, I appreciate it. Best of luck to you. And I know this, whoever does take you, they're going to be getting an incredibly talented pitcher, a phenomenally talented baseball player, and an even better young man. I am so proud of you, Emerson. You represent Georgia. You represent your family with the utmost of pride. And we all love you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. The family sure does miss you. They miss seeing you.
Well, we'll see you soon, buddy. I selfishly hope, Mitch, I grew up a Yankees fan, so I hope some way you'll have those pinstripes on someday. But I know you'll be happy just when that time arrives, and no doubt you're going to be a Major League All-Star. Thanks, Emerson.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff. Hope to see you soon.
You got it, buddy. That is the one and only Emerson Hancock sitting in the hot seat over there, one-on-one.